Today's Focus Report takes us to Senegal, where marine pollution is a growing problem. A recent report has pointed fingers at a sewage treatment plant in the capital that's contaminating the ocean around the Dakar peninsula. Marine pollution is becoming a major health risk for residents and also impacting the commercial fishing sector. And the country's tourism industry could be hit next if nothing is done to tackle the issue. Sakho reports.
50 years ago, this crescent-shaped beach called Ann Bay in the east of the capital was often compared to the beaches of Rio de Janeiro. Today, it's an open-air dump.
Garbage trucks can't reach this area. That's why people throw their garbage directly into the sea.
Ousmane is an oceanographer and studies marine pollution.
The septic tanks there are directly dumped into the sea without any prior treatment. This really explains the current state of Han Bay. Children often swim in the water, even though it's completely polluted. It's not a place to swim in.
Household waste is just the tip of the iceberg. Dakar's industrial hub was built around Ann Bay, and the waste materials from factories and industries get dumped at sea. Ousmane regularly measures this so-called chemical pollution.
We have recorded enormous amounts of heavy metals at Han Bay, but we have also recorded enormous amounts of bacteria.
The situation in Ann Bay isn't an isolated case. Marine pollution is present across Dakar's entire peninsula. With only one wastewater treatment plant in the capital, just 13% of Dakar's sewage gets treated. Rapid population growth coupled with sanitation problems has transformed gutters and canals destined for rainwater into waste grounds. The hardest hit by the pollution are fishermen. Here at Soumbédioune, one of the main fish markets in Dakar, those returning from a day at sea all have the same concern.
They've spent a lot of money to buy 35 liters of petrol, but they really didn't catch much. It's going to be hard for them to make ends meet.
As fish are becoming rare, fishermen are forced to go further out to sea. For Issa Fall, pollution is undoubtedly one of the causes.
There's so much waste underwater that it generates a lot of noise, and that noise is scaring the fish away. The waste is also polluting the areas where fish come to breed. That's where all the rubbish ends up.
After the fisheries sector, if nothing is done in the long term, the tourism sector could be next in line to feel the effects of marine pollution, according to industry experts. With its 700 kilometers of coastline and good waves, Senegal is a popular surf spot. Oumar Sey runs one of the 8 surf schools in Dakar. Picking somewhere to surf isn't as easy as it once was, he says, if he wants to keep his students safe.
We lost 4 surf spots, 4 places where you can no longer surf because of the pollution. I've already had fungal infections. I also had to undergo surgery because of a skin growth inside my right eye, something caused by a bacteria you can catch in the water. So we really want to avoid these kind of problems.
Marine pollution's been put under the microscope after a recent study was launched by civil society groups called the Awatox Project. Among other things, the campaign focused on the level of microbiological pollution in the ocean. Samples were taken in 2016 at different sites by an international laboratory.
We are looking for germs that come from feces.
In other words, bacteria from wastewater and livestock farming that can have consequences on health.
We do have rates that far exceed the standards. Some sites are heavily contaminated by these pathogens. These bacteria can contaminate humans and cause illnesses such as diarrhea or other diseases that can be serious in terms of public health.
Back at Ann Bay, one of the most polluted sites in the country, the government has a flagship sanitation plan in the pipelines. But residents say they've been waiting several years for the clean-up operation to start. According to the authorities, the start of the project is imminent.
For Han Bay, we have funding from the French Development Agency. It will allow a cleanup project to start very quickly. You could argue that we've been talking about it for 10 years, but I think that we've reached the implementation phase. But people should also be more responsible. Many just dump their waste everywhere. So there's a need to educate people to make them understand the consequences of their actions.
Senegal's population of 15 million is projected to reach 25 million in 2035. And with population growth comes massive migration towards coastal areas.